Hey, if you sell coaching online, education, whether it's courses, masterminds, communities, or maybe you sell agency services online, if you don't change this one thing, which is adding, wait for it, an SDR outbound team, if you don't do this, your business could die. So I want you to listen to this if this is you, if you're a business that falls into this category, okay? My name is Taylor. I own SDR Machine. I'm making these videos to just help and add value. But something that I've learned after selling services like B2B and B2C online using social media ads and online funnels since 2013, SDR outbound sales process is the thing that's going to keep people in business or not. And I'm gonna explain why. So what I want you to see is we have what I would call the old way, okay, of doing sales. The old way was you've got ads, then that leads to, a VSL, and then that leads to a calendar, and then that leads to closers, right? Now the old way did used to work, and it used to work because CPMs were way cheaper back in the day, right? Which is your cost per 1,000 impressions. So clicks were cheaper. There was less competition. So when I started in 2013 running Facebook ads and selling high ticket fitness online, I was getting insanely cheap leads. I would get $5 leads, sometimes even cheaper. And then, my VSL would convert at, let's say 20%. And so I could get $25 calls, right? And I'm closing 1 out of 4 of these. So I'm getting $100 acquisition cost, right? That's what I was getting before. However, things have changed because now, guys, CPMs, and you guys are probably seeing this, depending on your space and industry, can be $50, right? Which means your cost per clicks, those have gone up. Those can be like $5 to $10 now sometimes. And so if your LP, your landing page isn't converting at like 30 to 50%, which is a good KPI, well, you're noticing that your leads are getting super, super expensive. So like what I see lead costs now at least for us and our companies, are around $10. But I know a lot of other companies who are just not as good at marketing, maybe, they're seeing like $25 cost per lead, right? And so what's happening now, and this is why so many coaching companies and people who have been using this old model, why it's not working anymore, is basically they're getting these $20 leads, right? So they're running ads. It goes to their opt-in, which then goes to the VSL. So they're getting $25 to people get to this. They're maybe getting 10% of people watching their VSL to book into the calendar. So that means their cost per call is actually $250. And that's why it's super hard to find closers who are good because, let's say someone is really good at closing and you have, a $5,000 offer. Well, they can close 1 out of 4. And so, your CAC, which is your customer acquisition cost, if they're closing 1 out of 4 is $1,000. And so you have your 5K, right? And so you're making 4K in profit on it. Totally get it. Here's what happens though, as time goes on, as you scale the ad spend, right? And you scale up, is the marketing always gets more expensive as you scale. And so those call costs slowly turn into $300 or more. You're having to bring on new closers. They're not closing as well, so they're closing at 15%, right? So now your acquisition cost is taking 6 calls. So now it's costing $1,800 for your CAC or more. And then the margins compress. And then what happens? You can't run ads anymore. You're trying to find another marketing process. You're trying to find better closers. I see it over and over and over. So here's the new way. So here's the new way, okay? You pay for these leads, right? They're $20. Instead of just relying on this funnel, right, that sends them to the VSL, that converts at 10%, and then gets to the calendar, and then you close maybe 20% of those calls. Instead of doing that, what we do is we attach a sales development rep here who hits the lead. And so instead of having 5%, because up here, right, if you have a $25 lead and let's say 10% of them get on the calendar, so that means MQLs to SQLs, marketing qualified leads to sales qualified leads, and that example was 10%, right? Well, what if you had an SDR and because they're working the leads, their lead efficiency now is 20%, which means instead of it taking 10, it only takes 5. So now we have a $100 call. And so our acquisition cost is gonna dramatically decrease. So now if we get 15% conversion of calls, on the close, and so let's go 100 divided by 15%. So now we have a $666 CAC, right? And so you just allowed yourself to dramatically decrease your customer acquisition costs because you attach these SDRs. And this is why I think it's just such a huge opportunity. Some people have caught on to this, right? And so what they're doing is they bring on an SDR, they're US based rep, maybe a 1099, so they cost 4K or 5K a month. Then they want commissions, right? 3 to 5% commission. And that's okay, right? But what I see is the really good SDRs here end up wanting to be a closer and account executive, and so you lose them if they're good. Or if they're not good, they're expensive, and then their KPIs are terrible. They're doing, like 120 dials in a day. Like, I can't do any more dials than that. That's the most I can do. And so they're maybe getting like a 10% pickup rate. So they have 12 convos and they maybe get 1 to 2 of those to get to the calendar. Okay, so 5 working days a week. So that's 20 working days a month. So they get you 20 to 40 new appointments. Okay, that's fine. And if that's what you're looking for, that's great. What we do and what we've had success with is I feel like these sales reps that are in the US are honestly just a little bit too lazy, and they are expensive based on the unit economics of this type of business. And so what we've built is teams, and our company is training hundreds of SDRs offshore, but our SDRs, which includes us managing them, would be like 2 to 3K a month. Our guys are doing 300 to 400 dials. We have a CRM and dialer system that gets put in place where we follow TSR regulations and all that kind of good stuff. Well, we'll get up to 20% pickup rates. So now we're having 60 to 75 meaningful conversations a day, which then for us, we can get 6 to 10 appointments a day. And you can see 1 to 2 on the calendar per day, between 6 to 10 a day. We multiply that by the 20 working days in a month. Yeah, now you're getting 120 to 200 a month in new sales opportunities for a fraction of that cost. So this is the big arbitrage, I think, right now in this space, is you have to have SDRs. They have to know how to work the phones. They have to know how to qualify your leads. They have to know how to push those leads to the marketing and to the calendar. And that is what's going to enable you to survive in this space, okay? If you have other questions, comments, concerns, or you want me to make another video, I'm happy to do so. Just comment down below, and I'm happy to rock your world with some more content. Thanks.